Committee will come to order. Senator Murphy, you're up.
سنای آمریکا، استماع اعضای کابینه بایدن، تونی بلینکن وزیر خارجه جدید. هیچکس برای نابودی قاسم سلیمانی اشک نمی‌ریزد.
No one is shedding a tear for the demise of Qasem Soleimani.
بلینکن در پاسخ به سناتور منندز: رئیس جمهور بایدن متعهد است که رژیم ایران به سلاح اتمی دسترسی پیدا نکند. رژیم ایران با اقدامات شومی که انجام می‌دهد خطرناک خواهد بود. چه حمایت از تروریسم، چه حمایت از گروه‌های دست نشانده یا بی‌ثبات کردن منطقه.
در مورد برجام ما باید به دنبال یک توافق طولانی‌تر و قوی‌تر باشیم و همان گونه که شما و رئیس کمیته به درستی اشاره کردید، سایر موضوعات دیگر را هم در بر بگیرد، به خصوص در زمینه موشکی و فعالیت‌های بی‌ثبات کننده رژیم ایران. این هدف ما خواهد بود.
Particularly with regard to missiles and Iran's destabilizing activities. That would be the objective.
من فکر می‌کنم ما از آن نقطه فاصله زیادی داریم. بعد از اینکه رئیس جمهور منتخب در مسند امور قرار گرفت، ما باید ببینیم رژیم ایران عملاً چه گام‌هایی برمی‌دارد و آماده برداشتن است. بعد ما باید ارزیابی کنیم که آیا واقعاً به این که میگویند به تعهدات برمیگردند مقید هستند یا خیر و بعد تصمیم خواهیم گرفت.
Senator Menendez, the floor is yours.
We also have a number of ongoing challenges in the Middle East, perhaps none so pressing as Iran. As you know, I was not a proponent of the JCPOA, but I also believe the Trump administration's decision to withdraw without a serious strategy involving our allies would ultimately leave us less safe and Iran emboldened. Unfortunately, Iran's continuing aggression across the Middle East and its recent nuclear activity that has dramatically advanced its capabilities has vindicated that prediction. Now, I understand the Biden administration is interested in returning to a diplomatic path, which I support, but I fear returning to the JCPOA without concrete efforts to address Iran's other dangerous and destabilizing activity would be insufficient. Can you give us a sense of where you're looking at with reference to Iran? And as part of that, are you going to proactively reach out to Congress in order to forge such a consensus that can move us together with one voice towards meeting Iran as a challenge?
Thank you very much, Senator. Let me answer the last question first in terms of reaching out, and the answer is yes, absolutely, especially on a policy as challenging as the one that we have to deal with when it comes to Iran. We are much better off if we can try to work through and think through these issues together, and you have my commitment that we intend and will do that, and I look forward to the consultations and conversations that we have. When it comes to Iran, a couple of things. First, President-elect Biden is committed to the proposition that Iran will not acquire a nuclear weapon. And we share, I know, that goal across this committee. An Iran with a nuclear weapon, or on the threshold of having one, with the capacity to build one on short order, would be an Iran that is even more dangerous than it already is when it comes to all of the other malicious activities that it's engaged in, whether it is support for terrorism, whether it is fueling and feeding its proxies, whether it is destabilizing the region. An Iran with a nuclear weapon or with the threshold capacity to build one is an Iran that would act potentially with even greater impunity than it already is. So I think we have an urgent responsibility to do whatever we can to prevent Iran from acquiring a weapon or getting close to the capacity to having the fissile material to break out on short notice. The challenge we face now is that we pulled out of the agreement. Iran is now taking steps to undo the various constraints that were imposed on it by the agreement. And so it has increased its stockpile of low-enriched uranium. It is now enriching at a higher level. It is deploying centrifuges in ways that were prohibited under the agreement. The result is, based on public reporting, the breakout time, the time it would take Iran to produce enough fissile material for one weapon, has gone from beyond a year, as it was under the JCPOA, to about 3 or 4 months, based at least on public reporting. And that potentially brings us right back to the crisis point that we were reaching before the deal was negotiated. And so the president-elect believes that if Iran comes back into compliance, we would too, but we would use that as a platform with our allies and partners who would once again be on the same side with us to seek a longer and stronger agreement, and also, as you and the chairman have rightly pointed out, to capture these other issues, particularly with regard to missiles and Iran's destabilizing activities. That would be the objective. Having said that, I think we're a long way from there. We would have to see, once the president-elect is in office, what steps Iran actually takes and is prepared to take. We would then have to evaluate whether they were actually making good if they say they're coming back into compliance with their obligations, and then we would take it from there.